morning, everybody. It's Kim. I'm out on my morning walk, and I'm going it's about 6/10 of a mile to the main street out there. I'm already on my way back. And I decided today I'm going to concentrate on, if I was out walking and I was trying to get home, on emergency food sources. So one thing that I came upon right away is this Queen Anne's lace. There's a lot of it around here. It's on the edges of all the fields. Now you have to make sure you properly identify it, and I happen to know that it does have one poisonous look-alike, but we can go into better detail about that later. The roots on this are edible. It is the predecessor to the carrot. So you could dig those roots out, and they're really woody and tough, but you know, if you were in a survival situation, you could cook those roots up and have them as an emergency food source. So, you know, it would keep me from starving to death. Right next to it, is the chicory. Has these really cool blue flowers, and at least here in Michigan, they're all over the place on this time of year on the side of the road. You can take those roots and cook them up. You would roast them a little bit, like over a fire, and then you can turn them into a substitute for coffee. So I believe the flowers are edible. Once again, something I need to look up, but I do know you can make a coffee substitute out of the roots. This is a wild lettuce. These are all within just a few feet of each other. You can eat them, but this time of year you'll see that, you know, they're really bitter. They got that white like latex type stuff coming out of them. It's said that you can make when you see all these things on the Facebook and stuff, that you can make a morphine alternative out of them. Honestly, I don't know a whole lot about that, but this is what they're talking about. And then another thing, right pretty much in this area, is some grape leaves. The little tendrils are kind of sweet, and you could cook the leaves and the stems and eat those as well. So this is a little bit of emergency food right here in one spot here. So I'm going to go see what else I can find on the way. Well, obviously for me, I could see if there's any type of soybeans out there. Even if it's just pods right now, I could take the pods and boil them up. But, you know, let's say I'm not wanting to trespass on somebody's property. I guess if I was starving, I might grab a handful on my walk through, but, you know, I'm not the kind to just go steal people's food. So let's see what else I find here in the ditches. A little bit further on my trail here, I find some goldenrod that's about to flower, and there are a few flowers here. I would say this is more medicinal than edible, but if you're out and you need to get something in your body, you might want to think about learning about the goldenrod. All right, I found a dream stand here. This is some cattails. And if you're ever in a survival situation, this could keep you alive. If I was walking somewhere and I wasn't sure if there would be another stand, as you can see, this is a very big one. This is a really, really big one. I would sit here and hopefully, which I don't in my pack right now, and it's something that's on the top of my wish list, is a survival shovel. I would sit here and I would take my time and I would dig out as many roots as possible. In the little bit earlier in the year, you could eat the tips of the cattail. You can boil them up like corn, although they're way past that right now, but it would be an excellent source of tinder. I would dig down and get into the roots, dig those up, and, you know, carry along as many as I can. They're extremely high source of carbohydrates. Again, I would boil them up. They'd probably be pretty woody. I mean, this is the end of August, but I could definitely get a lot of calories out of this stand of cattails right here. All right, I found another little beauty here. This red clover here. There's quite a few along the road here. It would make an excellent, the flowers are edible. They're kind of sweet. and it makes an excellent tea as well. So I would definitely be, most of them are getting past their prime, as you can see, but I would go through again. I would pick this stand and go through as much as I could and grab myself some flowers. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to take some home to my bunny rabbit because she just absolutely loves them. I would go through and I would pick as many as I could and make myself a nice tea. Now this is a natural wildflower meadow that is in my area. It is through the conservation effort. They've taken over, I don't know, 30 acres or so, and they have planted it in wildflowers because they raise bees. So if I came across something like this, I would definitely be looking for any type of natural edible flowers and such that I would take some time if I was gathering up along the side here. And you could see quite a bit on the side of the road, so technically I wouldn't have to trespass. But one thing I would look through there, because I know they're growing it partly for bees and partly for the monarch butterflies, and I could see some from here. I'm not sure if you can. I'll try to zoom in a little bit here. There are some purple coneflowers, or echinacea, which again is perfect. It's a medicinal. You can make a tea out of it, get some nutrients out of it, and fight off some, fatigue, some germs, and things like that. So I would look for some echinacea in this stand because it's something I can easily recognize and know that it's something that would be safe to make a tea out of. Well, let's go further down the road and see what I find down there. Right, depending on the time of year, this could be a lifesaver. It is a apple tree sitting here right on the side of the road. Right now they would be a little bitter and a little too much to eat, but if I was truly, truly desperate and I saw this sign down here, let me zoom you in. There are a row of beehives. I would have to weigh out in an SHTF situation whether it was worth the risk to try to get some honey out of that. It would be an excellent source of energy. It could be used to cover some wounds for healing, and it could make this apple tree that's very close by very palatable in an emergency desperation situation. So I'm not allergic to bees that I know of, but if I came across this in SHTF, I would be very tempted to maybe get myself a little bit of honey out of them. Honeycomb too, I don't know, we'll see. All right, here's a situation that I'm not sure, depending on the time of day and if I was desperate, if I would attempt, but time of year depends on this too. You can go and get the tips off the spruce trees and pine trees. You can make a tea and they're edible. You can actually make jellies and other things out of them. So I guess if I was really desperate, I might go in just far enough to see if there were some spruce tips. But right now I would pass by and see, because I could see way in the distance that there's many trees back there. There's probably more spruce trees around here. I would probably walk on and see if I could find a situation where that's not posted. Right, a tree I'm easily able to identify, that's an oak. In the fall of the year, and I was desperate, I would probably dig around under that tree to see if there were some acorns. They would need a lot of processing to remove the tannins. So again, that would definitely depend on if I had enough water source to do multiple changes. But the acorn is very high in carbohydrates and can be used to make a flour and be eaten. But knowing that I have a cattail stand down the road, I'd probably opt for that over acorns. All right, this would be an amazing sight. And I wouldn't feel like a thief if I stole this. In here, this corn stand, they've got smut going. Hope I have that in a good view for you. It's a fungus that grows on the corn. It's edible. It may not look great, but they use it in a lot of Mexican cuisine. I would look through this stand and feel that, you know, it's right up next to the road. There's no way that farmer's going to profit from the smut. So I would gather up quite a bit of that as well. I guess if I was completely desperate, I might take a cob or two of the field corn and boil that up and make some kind of a meal out of that. But I would definitely not feel like a thief if I took the smut with me. All right, look who came to greet me. Boy, if I was starving, what can I say? Honestly, I would probably see if I could find somebody outside and see if I could beg, borrow, or steal a couple of eggs from them. But man, if I was truly starving, I'd have to make a pretty big decision on this, wouldn't I? Right before I get home, I have one last plant to show you. This is burdock. The roots are very large and very edible. Very good source of calories and nutrition. So if you have a survival shovel, again, it's something that's on the top of my wish list. I would definitely dig out as many roots as I could find of this to carry along with me. So there you go, my simple morning walk. I found several sources of edibles that I can easily identify that I know are safe to eat. There's probably a ton more, but that's the best I could do for today. Luckily, I am not in an SHTF situation, so after my walk, I came home to get some breakfast, and I've got a little bit of yogurt. I'm going to put in a little bit of fresh honey, thinking about those bees down the road, and just a little bit of granola. So there you go. My morning walk, finding wild edibles, but still being able to come home to have a nice, healthy breakfast. Have a great morning, everybody.